Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and this is my 31 days of horror movie reviews. And I was way too curious. I'm sure most of you horror fans have heard about this Terrifier 2 movie that has been grossing out audiences when it was in theaters for a few days. I saw a bunch of articles that said that, man, this Terrifier 2 movie is so gross and so disgusting. It's making audiences vomit or faint, pass out in the theater. And so, of course, that made me go, ooh, I need to see this. I need to see what is this film that everyone is talking about. Terrifier 2 is a 2022 film that was written and directed by Damien Leone. I don't know if that's how you say his name. Now, what I thought of Terrifier 2 was... how do I review this? How do I say whether or not this movie is good or not? Ultimately, I'm going to say it's not a good movie because there's so much of revolving around the writing, the story, the characters, and the logic. And it's like, I don't want to get too caught up into, do things make sense, or are things that happen in the film logical? Who gives a shit, right? This is clearly, you just want to see the kills. You just want to see, is this movie as crazy as people have said? Does it live up to the hype? And I will say this. The kills are pretty gruesome. The kills are very fucked up. There was a couple kills early on that this Art the Clown did, and I thought to myself, yeah, this is pretty violent, but no more violent than the first movie. And who knows, maybe I just missed out on the word of mouth from the first film, and so maybe that's why I didn't hear about it the way that I'm hearing about Terrifier 2. And then there's one kill. Sienna has these two best friends, and one of the girls, Art the Clown, comes to her house and brutally mutilates her. I mean, he carves her up. He rips her apart, basically rips her skin off, and her, it's hard to watch. It's terrible to watch. And obviously I did not faint. Obviously I did not vomit watching this movie, but that particular kill, I can definitely see audiences having a hard time with that, especially people who are squeamish and just aren't prepared for the level of violence that this movie is willing to go. The first film, that budget was like $100,000. The sequel, they upped the budget a little bit. It's still not crazy, but it's $250,000. And yes, that doesn't sound like much. And realistically, for a movie, it's not that much. But for whatever reason, the gore is bigger. The practical effects, the kills are grander. I wouldn't have guessed that it was only $250. I would have guessed that maybe it was way up there. It was maybe even a Blumhouse level of a budget, because, man, they go for it, and it's practical effects, which is very appreciated. There's no CG. They go all out with the gore and the blood, and I'm talking buckets, hell, oceans of blood, it felt like, was spilled probably by the end of this production. Let's talk about the writing, though. The writing, the story, and the characters. That's where I think this movie falls completely apart. If we were just talking about the kills, if we were just talking about the gore, the practical effects, and even Art the Clown, there is something very sick and twisted and kind of humorous to watch Art the Clown do the stuff that he does. It's a very dark, black humor. It's you gotta be fucked up to find the type of shit that Art the Clown does funny. But because he acts playful, because his behavior makes it seem like he's having a grand old time. Yes, he's like a mime, or he doesn't talk, but him laughing at all of the fucked up kills that he does, there is something sort of sick, twisted, and weird about it. But the story is where this movie is like, woof. Because we get introduced to this character, Sienna, like I said, who is played by Lauren Lavara. And this is my first time seeing this actress. And I guess she's a decent enough actress. Like, she performed the role as well as you would expect. She was attractive, so she got some extra points there. Her Halloween costume got 2 thumbs up for me. You have this backstory that her father killed himself, and the father was maybe a little mental or a little crazy, and that really fucked up the family in a lot of ways. The son, the younger brother, kind of adds to maybe why he's fascinated by serial killers or why he's fascinated by death. I don't know. The daughter, they hint at the fact that maybe she takes medicine or is on medication, and so maybe there's some weird psychological stuff going on with her, and whether or not she's seeing things and inherited whatever crazy her father passed down. And so it's like, okay, but there's moments where in one of the earlier scenes, Art the Clown, he goes to the laundromat to wash his outfit that was covered in blood. And he starts interacting with this little girl, like this young girl who's dressed like a clown as well. It would be like if Harley Quinn was, I don't know, 7 years old, right? That's what this girl looks like. And there's another person in the laundromat who sees Art the Clown, and Art the Clown is like doing, I don't know, patty cake or whatever the fuck that is with this little girl. But the guy in the laundromat, he doesn't see a little girl. The girl's not there. Art is doing that by himself, to himself. And so you're like, oh, okay, so obviously the clown's crazy and he's seeing a little girl with him. That checks out. But then, later on in the movie, the younger brother sees the little girl like all over the place. He sees her constantly. He even sees Art the Clown like in his school, bringing a dead animal in there, and then he gets accused of it. And so I'm like, what's going on? Is Art the Clown, did he really go into the school and plant the stuff to make the brother look like an asshole, but nobody else saw this fucking clown? Or is this brother hallucinating? Is this brother crazy? If he's not crazy, why is he seeing the little girl as well? Case in point, his sister, the main character, Sienna. She too sees the little girl. She too sees her, like, in the flesh. They both see her. Again, maybe they're both crazy. They are brother and sister, have the same father. You don't see any other characters see the little girl. Maybe there is a point to that, and maybe I'm just missing it. But I didn't get the story. There was a whole sequence where the sister, she has a dream about Art the Clown and him straight up massacring a group of people with a gun, like a machine gun. He just fucking wipes them all out. That's pretty brutal to watch given our current climate as well. And I'm like, why is she dreaming about him? You know, she wasn't even the one who was fascinated about the clown or about the killers. Like, this dream is random. And then the fire in her dream manifests as a fire in real life. And I'm like, what is going on? Her room catches on fire. She wakes up to a fire. And I'm just like, huh? The other problem is that this movie is over 2 hours long. I'm talking about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I mean, this movie is long as fuck. And I'm not saying I was bored. I'm not saying that it dragged as long. Like, it definitely sounds longer than it felt watching it, but there was also a bunch of scenes that I felt did not need to be here. This movie could have been way shorter. The first movie was like an hour 40. This easily could have been an hour 40. It probably would have been even more enjoyable at an hour 40, especially because since the writing is not great, because I have so many plot hole questions with this movie and the writing. Like, if you cut a lot of that dumb bullshit out, we probably would have had a more enjoyable film. We probably would have had a movie that made a lot more sense. We didn't need all these dream sequences. We didn't need all of this random stuff. We didn't need this whether or not the clown is really here or not. You get to the last maybe 10, 15 minutes, and you have this whole, I don't know if it's supposed to be magic, or I don't know what exactly they're trying to introduce with this sword, and somehow it's like, is Sienna supposed to be this this protector or warrior or Amazon with a sword, and she's the only one that can stop it. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And then the movie ends, and I'm like, okay, this was a weird ending, and I'm still a little confused. I still have my questions. And then the post-credit scene happens. Yes, the Terrifier franchise is now becoming the MCU, where you have a post-credit scene. And this post-credit scene, what the fuck? This is the worst part of the movie. The fact that it's the last image, the last thing that I saw in this film. Maybe that's why I'm coming in now, especially talking more about this. Why I am becoming more disinterested with this, especially if they continue on, if they make a third film. Like, I don't really give a shit. The way how this ends, even Chris Jericho being in the post-credit scene does not save the bullshit that they were doing, the wackiness. Again, maybe it's all just who gives a shit. Maybe the director's just like, whatever the fuck. But you didn't have to make it over 2 hours. If that's the case, if you just want to be goofy and have a good time, don't do 2+ hours. Don't do all this wacky, dumb bullshit story that doesn't really mean anything. The kills are what you're here for, though. If you just want to see fucked up kills, violent kills, bloody, gruesome, gory kills, then this is the movie for you. For that alone, for the balls that it takes with the kills, I'll give it a Netflix and chill.
Oh, yeah.
So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Terrifier 2? Maybe you liked it more than I did, maybe you didn't mind the runtime, or maybe you can make sense of this goddamn story and help me out. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.
Souls taken over by a devilish path. You got me walking on broken glass. Kicking down the door with a Jason mask, with a deck don't machete, but you motherfuckers know it's heavy. Anytime you're ready, you can get you with a Bowie. Setting up to blow me, but the bitch don't know me. Who's going? I'm going. You know, I know that the man in the mirror is my next rival. Time goes and I never thought I'd live it so fast. Staring at the world from the end of my glass. Turned into a dark place, severed my brain. I done dropped out of class, but I made